Hello everyone, welcome back to another strategic non-compliance. As I sit here and reperson Mike Bluehair, who has finally returned to us after a very busy and eventful past week. That is for sure. Mike, you should be able to hear me. You there?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Okay, good. So, I am just making some final adjustments here. If you can go ahead and give the opening of what's going on today.
Well, yeah, I just like to thank everybody for their patience. I had to dip out last show because my mother was in the hospital with a heart attack, and honestly, I was on her bedside until about an hour before the show started. Then I was on Facebook chat with a friend of mine that's got medical knowledge, so it totally slipped my mind, and I totally didn't realize until the show was about 20 minutes in. So my bad, guys, and I publicly prostrate myself and beg Bunny's forgiveness. And sorry about that, brother.
Well, as is, I mean, I understand that emergencies happen, so just make sure when you have a chance to give the people that you have responsibilities to a heads up as soon as possible.
Not to worry, it won't happen again, brother. And I'd like to plug Techno X because I love their stuff. You know, I love clicking around and listening to their stuff, and they're producing new stuff all the time. And that's the bumpity bump techno-y sounding stuff that you heard before the show started. And they also do some really awesome metal sounding stuff as well. Some like I don't know, they mix dirty beats with metal, and I think they're very talented. So yeah, and as far as what we're gonna do for the first hour, we're going to listen to a pre-record I did with founder of Multnomah County Cop Watch and longtime anarchist and one of my best friends, Keith Davis. So we're going to let that run for the first hour. Then me and Buddy are going to pause it every so often. And, well, you know, finally I'll be able to look at the chat room and respond to people in the chat during that hour. And then Buddy and I are going to talk about some of the recent goings-on, the arrest of James Freeman, this liberal hissy fit that's been going on for a number of weeks where they want to disarm everybody. I find Hitlerian, how they're exploiting children for their own political goals to further this disarmament of the American people. I find disturbing. So we're going to talk about that, the James Freeman arrest, and general auditing, cop watching, police accountability, news type stuff for the second hour. So that's what we're doing, guys.
All right. Did you want to open up with the Zuckerberg thing real fast too? Or?
Oh yeah. To my delight, Zuckerberg lost $5 billion a couple days back. So yeah, let's let that run, and then we'll do the Multnomah County Cop Watch interview.
Wait, where the hell is my window capture? Where'd it go? Hold on, guys. I'm trying to turn on the windows here, and for some strange reason, it okay, there we go. That one's fixed. Let me fix it on this other scene here. Okay, there we go. So we'll go ahead and play this, and then we'll play that. You won't be able to hear this one because I'm not doing it in the watch together.
It says my chat. Mark Zuckerberg loses $5 billion today, and it's awesome. This couldn't have happened to a better blood-sucking parasite. Social media sites like Minds.com and Steemit are the future of social media. These sites will actually pay you to produce the content that you're producing from your own drive, passions, blood, sweat, and tears on the internet, as opposed to these blood-sucking parasites like Facebook that just turn all of our drive and our energy and our intellect into cash for them and their plutocratic shitbag friends. And I'm quoting from the article linked below. Facebook shares plummet as the social media giant faces an onslaught of criticism at home and abroad over revelations that the firm working for Donald Trump's presidential campaign harvested and misused data on 50 million members. Another quote from the article. On Wall Street, Facebook shares skidded 6.8% amid concerns about pressure for new regulations that could have hurt its business model. Source link below. This is just glorious. I'm pretty sure that Zuckerberg right now is passing out ointment to all of his friends to rub on the part that hurts the most.
Alright, so yeah, Zuckerberg lost $5 billion in stock revenue and all that stuff.
Yep.
Oh wait, Ed, give me a second here. Ed, oh wait, okay, I think I did see it. Sorry, as is, my brain isn't really too focused on stuff. I'm more focused on this specific show right now. So right now is probably not the best time to ask me a bunch of questions. So go ahead, Mike. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh yeah, you know, F that guy. I mean, him and his crony buddies have been turning our drive, our passion, people's interest into cash for them and their rich friends. And I think I think that the internet content creator, whether you're a blogger or just somebody posting on your social media, I think the individual human being deserves to profit from that more than these soulless corporations. And end of rant. But for some reason, my chat is not working on my live stream. And that's kind of
I'm seeing it. It's popping up. Frontline Media asks, I still need help. Need some ideas on what open records I should request. from police stations that would shed light on my case.
On my chat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right on. Because it's saying in my chat room when I look at my interface and the Google Google box, from
Yeah.
YouTube, it says chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. So I can't see my chat.
Well, let me see. It's showing for me right now just fine. Here, you know what? What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pop out the chat on my side here. Like, dang, I need to move my chat box here. It's in the way. Pop out the chat. I'm gonna just send you a link to it. And just put this into your. Let's see here. And click that link I just sent you in the message box there. You should be able to see your chat just by clicking on that.
Perfect. All right, cool. Thank you. Okay. Mom's doing well. Thank you, guys.
All right, so we got that fixed up. Okay,
Yeah.
you ready? You on the Watch Together page? We're ready to go ahead and look at that.
Yeah, the interview I did with Keith Davis, founder of Multnomah County Cop Watch. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Let's go ahead and hit play when you want to start it. Did it start for you? Oh, there we go. Okay.
I'm Mike Bluehair, and this is my radio voice. No, actually, I don't really speak like that when I'm doing my Strategic Non-Compliance podcast. I have a very special treat for me. That's right, a treat for me during this episode of Strategic Non-Compliance. I'm having my good friend Keith Davis of Multnomah County Cop Watch on the show. This is a pre-record, so Bunny Boots can just kind of let it roll and watch the frickin' chat rooms, because, well, our chats are kind of crazy. Both me and Bunny Boots don't censor shit, so it gets kind of nuts in there. So that will give Bunny Boots the opportunity to watch the blood sports in the chat rooms, because, when we had Felipe Hemming on the episode before last, things kind of got off the hook. But anywho, to get back to my guest, Keith Davis, this is a guy whom I have loads of respect for. He's one of my best friends. I jokingly call his living room the library, because dude used to actually run and own his very own anarchist bookstore, and his place is like a lovely treasure trove of stuff that I like to thumb through and read. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Keith Davis of Multnomah County Cop Watch. Say hi to the people of Strategic Non-Compliance, Mr. Keith.
Hey everyone out there in radio and or internet and whatever the hell, man.
Yeah, it's an internet vloggy podcast thing. I don't even know what the hell to call it. Anywho, Keith, so let's get right into it. The theme of the show is strategic non-compliance, and the idea is that I reach out to other people that are non-conformist and ask how they don't conform to the status quo. And I know your story, and you're one of the most subversive people that I've ever known in the time that I've been here in Portland. And describe Keith's childhood for the listenership, so we can understand how you were built to be the man you are today.
Well, it started out with my parents going to Woodstock, and they used to own head shops back on the East Coast in New Jersey and Philadelphia. And my dad used to have a poster company of subversive posters and other stuff. But my parents went to Woodstock, and then they conceived me at Woodstock on a bunch of high-grade LSD and hashish, and then I popped out and 1970.
So it would be safe to say that you're literally a counterculture baby.
Yep, definitely. I was grew up in the countercultural environment, and I was brought directly from the hospital to the back to the head shop within 24 or 48 hours or so after my mom gave birth to me.
Now, the head shop you're referring to was your home, right? You guys lived in the head shop as well?
No, my parents had a separate place where a separate
okay.
house they were partial owners of. And their head shop was called the Bird Cage, and that was in Ocean City, New Jersey. And there was also another head shop that they ran in Philadelphia called the Apple.
Right on. So the businesses were the Bird Cage and the Apple. Now, you know, that's a nice place for us to start here. Now, in fiscal year 2014, police have stolen more property from U.S. citizens than all illicit crime combined, like all theft crime, all robberies, all home robberies, all muggings, all of it, by something called asset forfeiture seizure. And that's when the police have this 60-40 split with the federal government that monetarily incentivizes law enforcement to steal property away from people, and good luck getting it back when they, take the property. But let's get into what happened to your parents' house back in the day.
I ordered up some weed from California for me and my mom, but mainly me because I smoked a lot more than she did. But basically, I ordered up a package from a friend in California. It was flagged by a narcotics task force in Orange County, California, and then they shipped the package onto where I was living at in Westminster, Maryland.
No,
and,
this was one package, correct?
Yeah.
It wasn't like a drug operation or anything, correct?
What's up?
This was just one package, yes?
Yeah, it was a package with about 1.5 ounces of weed.
Okay.
And, yeah, the police just sent it on to the other police agency down in Maryland from Southern California, where it was initially shipped from. And then a UPS guy basically delivered the package, but it was an undercover narcotics agent, which is UPS were the same agency that set off the whole Waco standoff and all that too. But and they did the exact same thing with UPS has had kind of a long history of allowing narcotics agencies and federal agencies to deliver various products and stuff. And,
So UPS will actually allow the law enforcement agencies to use their trucks and stuff to have these phony deliveries of packages and whatnot. And that's a good segue too, because I've read in many of these, alleged bombing cases, not to go off on a tangent, but UPS will deliver some fertilizer to someone's house, and they'll use that as an excuse to raid them. But so UPS delivers this package, and what happens from there?
That set off a series of events. The Carroll County Narcotics Task Force, which is in Maryland and in Westminster, Maryland, which is probably about close to an hour outside of Baltimore. They came and they raided my house. They had AR-15s and multiple officers. We lived on a farm that was a little over 50 acres, and I could see police, like, barreling down the road towards my house, basically, from, and then, I kind of knew why they were there. I had gotten a, package delivered, and I kind of was, I was kind of worried because the package actually took a day or so longer than it was scheduled to take. So I was kind of worried about the package in general. And then, you know, after it got delivered, I opened up the package, I looked inside, and it said, if I remember correctly, the guy's name was Terry Todd, Orange County Narcotics Task Force. And I just saw this little post-it note on the package once I opened it up, which I'm sure the Narcotics Task Force in California were probably expecting that the Carroll County Task Force would at least open up the package and take that away, because that kind of...
Oh, that's ridiculous. It's kind of a dead giveaway.
Yeah, that kind of gave me, a little bit of a head start to know what's up before I saw the cops coming, you know?
Uh-huh.
But, I actually called the number, too, that was provided on there, and they answered, and they're like, narcotics. And then, I was just like, oh, fuck, you know? And then I saw the, police barreling down our road, and there was probably about 3 or 4 different vehicles, and...
Now, what year was this?
This was in 1992.
Okay.
And, I went and, went onto the roof, actually, and I took the weed up onto the roof, and I also had about an ounce of some other stuff that wasn't quite as high quality as the stuff I was having delivered.
So, wait a minute. You're playing King of the Mountain with the drug task force on the roof as a young adult?
I basically ran up onto the roof.
With 2 ounces of pot.
I had to avoid them, you know, and hide out on the roof and stuff. So I was doing a really good job of it. And they might not have ever actually found me if I didn't come down on my own. But they were hassling my sister, and I could hear them screaming, like, where's your brother? Where's your brother? And stuff like that, you know? And so I came down, but before I came down, I took the weed that was actually delivered to me, and I dropped that down a chimney of our house, which is an older house. And this chimney went to a non-existent fireplace. And I actually had to retrieve the ounce and a half of weed that they delivered. I had to rent some power tools and chisel my way through part of the foundation to get to the actual weed, you know. But it was well worth it. So they never actually got the weed that they delivered. And then the other ounce of weed I actually started to eat it because I was kind of like trying to get stoned and also destroy the evidence, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, you know, good on you, you know. You got to put that big mouth of yours to good use, you know, and protect your family. So what ended...
It's really hard, though, choking down a whole ounce worth of weed on a roof.
I could only imagine.
Yeah.
So what happens to your family and your house and all that, you know, share with the audience.
Basically, they arrested my sister, too, but they, and this other girl, Claudia, that was living with us, who also helped run this store that my online called Liberation, and I basically ran the book part of it and did the buying of all the books and all the underground comics and stuff like that.
So this was sort of an anarchist bookstore slash zine scene slash music venue then?
Zines and underground comics, and also a bunch of underground books of various sorts, a lot of anarchist stuff, and all kinds of all different types of countercultural type books and stuff.
Okay. Now
you can find out if you just go online and just put Pamela Snow White Davis, the marijuana mama. You could look up her store was called Liberation.
okay.
I kind of
Pamela Snowflake Davis?
White,
Okay.
Pamela Snow White Davis, and Snow White is Snowhite, so it's just like one word, not two or whatever. But yeah, so and then they later arrested my mom too, and they basically immediately froze her assets to her business. She had a Guatemalan clothing import business too, on top of doing the Liberation bookstore head shop type thing. We sold a bunch of pipes, and we sold sterile hemp seeds and hemp clothing and a bunch of different stuff like that, you know.
Why would somebody want to buy sterile hemp seeds?
Oh, for the nutritional value and all that stuff, you know, just the
Oh, I got you. For like the supplement aspect of it. Okay.
it's basically has been used in bird feed too and stuff for a long time, so it's like, and it's pretty good too if you roast it up like popcorn and stuff like that. It's a pretty good little snack.
Right on. So, so they immediately seized your mom's bank accounts or monetary assets. What was the next step?
They seized her computers too, and my computers, and all the computers in the house, and so they basically effectively shut down my mom's entire business. She didn't know who owed her money, who was supposed to get orders or orders placed or anything. So it basically effectively shut down her business for about 6 weeks.
Okay, so at what point did they end up taking? Wait, hold on. Yeah, at what point did they end up taking your home from you and the 50 acres of property? When did that happen?
They didn't technically take it, but they were in the process of doing that. But basically, my mom won her appeal and all that. She got a really good lawyer, Billy Murphy. He's actually a lawyer who was actually portrayed himself on the HBO series The Wire. He also is the lawyer who got the family of Freddie Gray. He won that big multi-million-dollar settlement.
That's
recently.
the man. Now, Freddie Gray was the man that was given the rough ride by police and had his back broken, murdered. Yeah.
Yeah, up in Baltimore, and
Okay.
yeah. So he's. My mom went to prison over this and stuff too, and he was the one who got her out of prison, and he's also the person who won her appeal.
Now, what did they charge your mom with, and how long was she in prison?
They charged her with all kinds of stuff from, possession of marijuana to possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. She also was charged with some archaic law that is basically based in like running houses of ill repute and stuff like that, which is maintaining common nuisance.
Wow. Okay, so the end result was that you guys lost your house and your business and the 50 acres, yes? Like, court.
Yeah, basically what happened was the fact that they seized her, seized her bank account and froze her bank account and all that stuff. She was unable to continue to pay the mortgage, and eventually it was getting put into it was going into bank foreclosure mode because we couldn't pay the amount of money that
and
was
they were in
up to
process
the
of
bank.
trying to take your stuff through asset forfeiture seizure this whole time, though, right?
What was that again?
Was the system trying to work through that process of asset forfeiture seizure to just take it outright at that point?
Yeah, they were working on seizing our house and stuff, but basically my mom won her appeal.
Okay.
And that kind of, and their case just started unraveling and other stuff, so they didn't, win. But basically they successfully sabotaged my parents' business and also, froze their assets so they couldn't run their business, and so basically what happened though was the person who my parents originally bought the house from, he came forward, and he was a pretty rich guy. I think he was actually kind of like a heir to the DuPont family, if I remember correctly. It was like DuPont or Dow Chemicals. I can't remember which one. But he came forward and he paid the bank off, and then he basically allowed my parents to basically just pay him back once they sold the house. So they wound up selling their property, and I think their property was probably worth about $250,000, and they wound up, paying him off and then being able to take out about $90,000 or $70,000 to $90,000 or so once they sold it. So it wasn't a total complete loss, but they were basically, totally sabotaged and forced to sell their place and almost lost it.
Wow. Like, I could imagine how that would, twist someone's mind and piss them off and just, make them just generally an angry person.
Then I wound up living in a studio apartment in Baltimore after that, from a 50-plus acre place with a really big house and stuff like that. So she definitely got downsized in her lifestyle,
Oh, yeah, I can imagine, man. So what next in your life?
Basically a lot of that stuff kind of infuriated me, but at that point when this raid actually took place, I was doing a underground newspaper called Ship of Fools, and I basically printed up an average of 3,000 to 5,000 copies of each issue, and I used to send a lot of free copies to prisoners. Basically anyone who was a prisoner that wrote me and asked for a free subscription, I would send it to them.
So you were doing work like Anarchist Black Cross does, and mailing prisoners books that they could read to keep them from, losing all faith and hope in humanity while they're in prison, that kind of work?
Yeah, I was actually involved a lot in the anarchist Black Cross type stuff too, and I used to send books and correspond with a lot of different prisoners, and some which are still incarcerated, like Sundiata Acoli, and I used to write to a lot of the just various people from the Weather Underground, and just all kinds of different groups like that.
Bunny?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, people are complaining on my end that the volume isn't up high. I know Keith's cell phone wasn't very loud, but is there any way we could bump the volume for people?
Let's see here. I can crank it up a lot higher, but as is, it's hitting the red mark on my side of things, so I can only turn it up so high.
Then, sorry about that, Connor. We can't do it, so I'll just start the show again. And Bunny, feel free if there's any point of interest that you want to talk over, just hit the pause button.
Well, there hasn't really been anything that really I need to hop in, interject any questions or comments. I mean, it's a slow going story and pretty easy to comprehend.
Oh yeah, right on. Yeah, and we can use this as an opportunity to talk to the people in the chat, because we've been neglecting them lately. So yeah.
What do you mean? I've been talking with them through at least the text part. So at least on my side.
No, on my side, I'm chatting. I'm talking about the previous show when we committed the sin of disabling chat. So yeah.
Yes, that sin.
So I'll let it roll.
Okay, let's get back to
You ever write to any of the Black Panthers? Communicate with any of them? Like the old school Black Panthers from the '60s that were in prison, and some still.
Yeah, that guy that I just mentioned, Sundiata Acoli, I actually corresponded with him quite a bit and stuff, and sent him copies of my magazine and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
I wasn't sure, but I thought I recognized the name, and as him being affiliated with the Black Panther Party for self-defense, that's why I jumped in there. So after Ship of Fools, what next?
After that, I moved to Baltimore myself. I started up this big warehouse thing. I started a distribution, basically, where I sold punk rock records and hardcore and stuff like that, and also sold a lot of anarchist books, and that was called Riotous Assembly.
Riotous Assembly, and that was a small music label and a anarchist bookstore, like mail order type thing.
Yeah, it was basically mail order, and I also had I did start a little bookstore in a property that I squatted and took over in Baltimore. I actually took over a couple places. I had a warehouse that I initially started renting out, but it was basically the slumlord landlord. He said he was going to do a bunch of upgrades on the place, but he never did. So I basically stopped paying rent and told him to fuck off, and then I was going to just continue to live there. And if he wanted to go to court, we could go to court.
Did you do it proper? And what I mean by that is establish squatters' rights and actually improve the property's value, and basically go by the numbers, like in a lot of these literatures that you can buy at anarchist bookstores to learn about squatters' rights. Did you do it that way, so you would make yourself a legal pain in the ass to the guy if he tried to get you out?
Yeah, basically he was a pretty big slumlord, and his name was Harry Shapiro, and he owned, I think, approximately 100 plus properties in Baltimore.
Yep.
So I basically told him, the warehouse we were in, it had no hot water, it had no heat, and I don't know if you've ever been to Baltimore in the winter, but it gets pretty cold.
Yeah, I've been through there. You could freeze to death very easily.
So we basically were living in total squalor to some degree, with no heat and no hot water, and we basically to keep warm, we all kind of just huddled in this one small walled-off room and had a space heater going all the time, and also used the toaster oven to toast up food, and also to worm our hands in too sometimes.
Oh, wow. So, you ended up taking over that building.
Yep, and we also went around and explored a lot of other abandoned buildings, and we went into a couple places too. Like this one place probably had 150 rooms or so, and we wound up doing some stuff there. And my one friend, he wound up squatting there basically by himself, and he was just a block or so away, but him and this other guy actually started growing weed in this abandoned building too.
Of course, your friends would be doing that. Okay, so let's fast forward into Oregon and when I met you, because we've pretty much established you at this point as living a life well beyond the beaten path. You know, your first punk rock concert was what, age 9?
No, I kind of got into stuff around age 8 or 9, kind of when the Sex Pistols and
okay,
you know, first waves of punk bands were coming out, the Ramones.
So then maybe your first show was closer to 12?
What's up?
Your first show was then maybe closer to 12 then?
Yeah. My first punk show was actually like TSOL played at Tower Records out in Laguna Niguel, and they did a free show out there.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, so you know, as far as
evolved into a little mini riot of some sort. Not really a riot, but a big scuffle with the police, because the members of TSOL, they were playing in the back parking lot area in Laguna Niguel, Laguna Hills, El Toro, where the Tower Records was, in the back parking lot, and a bunch of the members of TSOL started throwing cans of beer out to the audience midway through their set, you know?
Nice.
And, you know, there was a lot of kids in the audience, too. Like, you know, I was probably approximately 12 years old or something like that, you know?
I can imagine little Keith. Okay,
When that happened, the police were there on guard waiting to strike, and as soon as that happened, the cops just came in and totally broke it up, and it kind of went a little crazy for a little bit, but didn't get as bad as a lot of the punk rock riots that I was in back in the 80s and stuff. I was involved in quite a few punk rock riots back in the day, because probably an average of 25% of the shows or whatever would either be like a little mini riot or full-blown, you know, police just beating the hell out of people, which you could more call a police riot. One of the worst things, you know, that I ever saw as a kid was the Dead Kennedys played a show at the Longshoremen.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's up?
Shadowboxer wants us to touch more about the censorship issue. Should we cover that a little bit more in depth in the second half?
Sure. You mean us censoring our own live stream, our live chat?
Yeah, the kerfluffle with episode 9 there.
Sure, we'll talk about it for a few minutes. It's no big deal.
All right, got it. Well, go ahead and continue on with this then.
Memorial Hall, and that just turned into, they played in this area that was primarily Mexican and stuff, and there was a lot of Mexican gang members, and they kind of like flipped out that a bunch of punk rock kids were in their neighborhood, and they wound up attacking the show. And they busted through the doors, and it kind of broke out into a really big brawl between. This was in like 1983, and you could look it up online. There's DOA played, and Sim 34, and the Minutemen, and
Dead on Arrival, wonderful.
It was like a really, really good show, but there was, DI played too. There was quite a few bands that played that night, but you can look it up if you put like Dead Kennedys, Wilmington, California, Longshoremen's Memorial Hall. You could find out, but it totally just turned into a big old brawl where.
Yeah, so there's been cops pretty much up your ass your entire life, right?
Oh yeah, like basically my parents, their store was targeted by the police. Like they had head shops, and they basically were under constant surveillance by the police, and they also had a lot of problems with the police. The police would come into their store almost daily and rip down posters they didn't like straight off the walls, and my parents would just go to the back and go grab another poster and replace the one that just got ripped down. But so yeah, my whole life I've definitely, at least my family has been under the gun of the police and other stuff, and that's.
Hey, Mike, how old is Keith?
Keith is Keith is in his 40s.
Okay. Yeah, because some of the stuff, I mean, you definitely, if it was done like maybe in the late 90s and stuff like that, we would be hearing, this would be like front news kind of stuff.
Oh, sure.
So this is like 80s kind of stuff, back when cops could really get away with that kind of antics of going into shops and ripping down posters they don't like.
Sure, like this is pre ubiquitousness of a camera. What cops used to be able to get away with, they still do in many respects. But every so often one of their antics will get put on blast on the interweb. But yeah, this is giving insight into what they would be doing if everybody didn't have a cell phone camera. This is late 80s stuff.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons I do a lot of the stuff I do, and because I've the system's left a bad taste in my mouth since I was a kid. I was actually told by my parents, to not pledge allegiance to the flag, so I've never actually pledged allegiance to the flag ever in my entire life once,
Well, that's wonderful, because the Pledge of Allegiance was actually created by a socialist who wanted to wrap collectivist ideas and a collectivist tyrannical ideology around jingoistic sounding language. It was actually, his name was, I think it was Francis Bellamy, or I know his last name was Bellamy, but back in the day when they created the pledge, they actually had children salute with their left hand, and they would hold their hand out just like the Nazi salute, which I find interesting. But political ideology, that's a good place to start. But if you Google the Bellamy salute, you'll find black and white pictures of school children saluting our flag, the same way that Hitler had people salute the swastika with their hand out. But anywho, would you self-describe yourself as an anarchist?
Yeah, Yeah, I basically called myself an anarchist since I was about 9 years old. But I don't know. These days, a lot of the people who call themselves anarchists are pretty pathetic, and
they're pretty much leftist, waving black flags, in my opinion. They're pretty much ultra left, politically correct.
In this country, you know what I mean? I can't speak for anarchism worldwide because there is still a lot of strong anarchist movements, and I probably would be more prouder to call myself an anarchist if I lived in a country or a region that where the waters of anarchism haven't been so muddied, and I've had anarchists get pissed off at me for criticizing people that are fond of President Obama,
Oh yeah, yeah. And I have to agree with you, Keith, just quickly.
I'm a black person about how Obama is waging war and killing black and brown people around the world.
Sure. And I.
People that call themselves anarchists, and then they get mad at you because you're talking to a person of color about Obama. It's like this just goes down such a road of identity politics that it's just ridiculous, So,
yeah, and I have to agree with you. And you said that the waters have been muddied for anarchism in America for the most part, and I agree. And would you not agree that most of the anarchists in the United States are basically leftist waving black flags? Like.
Yeah, or at least a good portion of them, I don't know, there's a lot of people that are actually anarchists that don't really even use that term anymore just because they don't want to really be associated with a lot of the people that do call themselves anarchists, because they see the water's been so muddied, and the whole, what is passing for the anarchist movement in America has just been so watered down. And
yeah, I mean, nobody does it like the Greeks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of just reactionary authoritarians that are I would classify them closer to like Maoists than anarchists, but they seem to want to call themselves anarchists.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of the confusion, I think comes from the anarcho-socialist or the anarcho-communist derivation, where they go by the conquest of bread, or by Peter Kropotkin, or the Prince Peter Kropotkin that came up with anarcho-communism, and that's the literary work that seems to be looked at as the Bible by the majority of anarchists that lean in a left direction, or they call themselves anarchists. And my primary confusion with that is that, communism is a form of government, so, it's a little weird for me. I understand Kropotkin. I've read Conquest of Bread, I've read his Mutual Aid and all that stuff, and it's 100 years old, and anarchism needs to evolve, beyond the machinations of, turn of the century people. A good example of anarchism evolving would be, anarcho-libertarian or ANCAP or voluntarism. Basically, people that don't want anything to do with the government, and they want to run their own businesses. They want to create their own currencies. They want to start founding their own banks and their own means of exchange, so they don't have to be squatted on by government. And I think that's an interesting evolution of anarchism. But, but then on the other hand, there's a lot of people that call themselves anarcho-capitalist, and they're basically, or voluntarist, and a lot of them are basically like Republicans wearing fedoras saying, hey, I bought a bunch of Bitcoin and that makes me an anarchist, and that's kind of bullshit too,
Man, a lot of them are nationalists and even white supremacists. supremacists and all kinds of stuff. So it's like,
Yeah, and claim to be ANCAPs, but they're not. You're very right. A lot of them are just white nationalists trying to, co-opt an idea or a meme. But
yeah, that's pretty much usually what happens with most good ideas or most subcultures. They all get co-opted and taken over. And actually, a lot of the anarchist stuff back in the early 90s, it kind of got taken over a lot by like groups like the RCP, the Revolutionary Communist Party, who are now recently
yeah, the RevComs, they're comical as hell, man, when they show up at protest with their little, hammers and sickles and stuff. And like, if you read their manifestos, it's so retarded. Like, RevComs are laughable.
And they're the same people that started up that Refuse Fascism thing, and which is basically just the RCP, the Revolutionary Communist Party, trying to take over the whole and cash in on a lot of the Antifa type of stuff and the anti-fascist resistance type stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and that's my consensus on how that works. And, what I've been watching with this, let's get into the whole Antifa versus alt-right thing. What I've been seeing happening is two authoritarian groups that are basically vying for the right to take over the street. I've seen some vile, egregious stuff done on the Antifa side, and I've seen some really stupid, violent, vile, egregious stuff done on the alt-right side. And it's basically, they're both authoritarian groups. They're just extreme left and extreme right. Would you not agree with that idea there, Keith?
yeah, basically it seems like at this point a lot of the people that are calling themselves Antifa or whatever a lot of them are actually the RCP and Maoist and communist and socialist, and I've talked to kids in ski masks, and some of them are like, oh, I'm actually like I more consider myself like a liberal Democrat more than anything. So it's kind of like the whole, Antifa movement, for the most part, it used to be more radicals and people that would target actual real Nazis and stuff.
Yes.
And it seems like, every conservative or everyone who voted for Trump is a Nazi or whatever. I'm not a fan of any president, and I think Trump is a fascist piece of shit and other stuff, but
Oh, agreed.
I also like to put things in perspective and realize that a lot of voters just vote for candidates over one issue or another. So
Sure.
a lot of people that might have voted for Trump, they might have voted for Trump just because they're into gun rights or liked a couple of his talking points or didn't want to.
I want to weigh in here for a second, Keith.
They should file B,
Yeah, here are my thoughts. Like, by any empirical analysis, the United States is a fascist country. Bush Senior, Bush Junior, Carter, Reagan, Ford, since 10 years before my life and 10 years after I'm dead, you can be rest assured that we live in a fascist country. Obama, for instance, got more money donated to his presidential campaign by Wall Street than any other president in American history. That is the very definition of fascism, is when corporations work with the government. I mean, and we have like literally thousands of government entities that are all public-private partnerships, like Amtrak, for instance. Amtrak couldn't survive if it didn't get massive government subsidies that were taken by the theft of taxation. Therefore, Amtrak is a fascist entity. And so on through all the, you know, the Bureau of Land Management owns more territory in the United States than any other group. So government has seized more land than in any other entity. You know, we have the corporation, which is the dominant entity and institution in our lives, and there's this constant revolving door between, you know, people that have a high office in government and people that have a high office in corporations, and it's like they're just playing musical chairs. You know, basically, they make public our debt through this system, like the national debt is made public somehow, like we all are supposedly debt holders that own it, and then what we make gets privatized. What we produce gets taken into the private sector. So it's fascistic by its very nature. And when I see Antifa or extreme leftists fighting extreme rightists, I see basically two management teams vying for the CEO job of Slavery Incorporated. And you know, I just find it kind of stupid and silly, you know, and I agree with you. I was doing Antifa shit, you know, as a teenager and a young adult before it was cool. You know, I was going to like Hammerskin shows with groups of punk rockers and windowless 70s rape vans, and we'd jump out and beat up some bona fide neo-Nazis. You know, people say that if you have a Trump hat nowadays that you're a Nazi, or if you're you know, anti-immigration, you're a Nazi. No, I think that if you have a Trump hat and you're you know, anti people coming across these imaginary borders, you're just politically stupid. I'm not going to attack you. I might point and laugh and say you're stuck in this whole right-wing kind of ideology, but it's absolutely ridiculous that they use the word Nazi so much when they call these people on the right, these people that are just bought into the right side of politics, that the word Nazi doesn't even have a meaning anymore. You know, these SJWs.
I mean, I'm a Jew, and I'm an anti-racist, and I've done a lot of the same stuff too, you know, fought against, you know, Nazis and skinheads back in the 80s and the 90s and other stuff, and I usually can't get away, you know, without being called a Nazi or alt-right almost like once or twice weekly, and it's usually by some stupid dumbass in their 20s or something like that, or some you know, socially engineered college student that doesn't know shit about politics, that's fresh off their mama's tit or whatever, and going into permanent debt slavery or whatever, unless their parents are paying for it, to be socially engineered to be stupid and to just fall for total identity politics and everything. I mean, nowadays, basically, you can, you know, have a leader like Obama that just goes and invades every black and brown country in the world and bombs the hell out of them. And basically, all the Democrats and the majority of the people won't even say anything about it. And that's basically what I've come to term as like weaponized equity, where you put people in places of power that are from a marginalized community, and then basically, you know, you use them to do your dirty work for the white power structure and all the bankers and the oligarchs, and then anyone who has anything bad to say about them or called a racist or a bigot or
right. You can't criticize a black person no matter what they do because of this SJW kind of mentality. And case in point, let's look at what happened during Obama's presidency. He never met a wedding party or a funeral he didn't like to drone. I mean, this guy killed 30, 40, 50 people at a time at funerals, at weddings. And no one on the left said anything. And it's because of that identity politics stuff. I mean, he was the perfect vehicle for Wall Street, Madison Avenue, and the military-industrial complex to fuck over Africa because he was black, and then anybody who would criticize him would be called a racist, and I think what you said is very important, weaponized equity. If you look at,
It's kind of just the optical view of things, I mean, it does look better from an optical viewpoint for someone that is a person of color to invade all the black and brown countries compared to a white guy, or that's actually why I thought to a white guy, or that's actually why I thought Hillary Clinton would be the president, so they could keep the schedule of invasions going. And it's not quite as good as having a black president, but if you at least have a white woman, that might be a little better than just having the white guy invading all the Middle Eastern and
sure. And I don't want to just bag on Obama because, I mean, as we clearly established, all the right-wing presidents in our lifetime were also fascist,
I don't even think that presidents really are in control at all, barely. I think they're just following script and taking orders from the intelligence community and the bankers and the globalists and all the corporations and all the fascists and stuff, and basically they have a script. And I think that Trump, he's a total lunatic and a shitbag and all this other stuff, but I think he's just following script, and I don't think he's as independent as
Wait, Keith, your phone is breaking up. Can you move?
He's the man of the people or whatever. He's just a man doing it on his own, and he's got his own opinions and his own agendas, and I don't see that at all. I see him as someone that's just following script, just like Obama or whoever. And I mean,
sure,
as long as this country exists, we've always had presidents, and I think basically during the Reagan-Bush presidency is when we really just turned into a nation of actor presidents, and basically everything's just been totally scripted in a big bad political satire shit reality that's just been totally scripted by intelligence agents at this point,
Yeah. Now, I would totally agree. Every presidential administration is basically an amalgamation of all the favors and payoffs and debts that they accumulated as they were running for president. And so there's always, a couple hundred.
Really? Bunny? The show's dead.
Okay, yeah, hold on. I had to pause and reload the page. That damn ad keeps trying to interrupt it, so... We're at 50 what?
People standing behind every president. And
okay, there we go.
Those are the ones pulling the strings. Totally agreed on that point. Let's segue into Multnomah County Cop Watch and your cop watching activity and that kind of stuff. Why did you form Multnomah County Cop Watch, and what's the point? Why should people film police in public? Why should they be documenting police behavior?
Every once in a while you catch them doing something really bad, and that's always good to bring light to that type of stuff. But I actually think that cop watching, in reality, a lot of the I don't believe that there's much police accountability. So I kind of drift away from a lot of the same things. Like I'm looking for police accountability because I don't believe in police accountability. I don't believe that the police will ever be accountable. They have police unions and all this other stuff, and like in Portland we have Nazi Mark Kruger, who's erected shrines to fallen SS soldiers in public parks, and he's in charge of the Bite Squad, and he's also...
And here is a ad from a friend. This ad will stay here, hoo hoo hoo. Anyway, the progress on the thing I am working is still in progress.
Just had a quick super chat here from Crash the Bandicoot.
Oh, your side or mine?
in charge of
My side. It already played.
approval of all informants in every bureau in Portland.
Sure.
I
So
don't really-
just quickly,
really
so
believe in,
so
police
people-
accountability for the most part, but I do believe with a camera that you can kind of shut down a lot of stuff, and you know, it's just like a camera with anything. You know, if your neighbors were arguing and you went into their place, you know, and you were filming them, they might behave differently. So I think the camera is more a deterrent for the police to actually more stick to how they're supposed to be policing and not go overboard, or to just basically, you know, ignore the situation like, well, there's cameras here, we don't need to be under the scrutiny of the camera, this isn't that big of a deal, let's just leave, you know?
yeah, I totally agree. But like, I have to tell people at home that just go. When you mentioned the Nazi cop in Portland, Mark Kruger, people just needs to Google Nazi cop, Portland, Oregon, Mark Kruger, and you can read all these lovely articles. We have a bona fide Nazi fetishist running our drugs and vice division here in Portland. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Keith. Keep going. So you were saying that it's better. It's basically better, and I agree, to convict police in the court of public opinion, creating public ire against the police. You know, exposing them for what they are, because the camera is such a ubiquitous tool in 21st century America that we may as well film them and convict them in the court of public opinion. I mean, I want police to be made irrelevant in the future, but in order for that to happen, it's got to be brought into mainstream culture, and cop watchers and activists have to break that perception as if though cops are here to protect us, and they're these special people that lay down their lives and risk their lives every day to protect us, and all this other bullshit that's spoon-fed to us through the corporate media, through the TV shows, through the way that the news basically fillets authority every time the police are involved. And I agree with you. I'm not a reformer of police by any stretch of the imagination. I'm more of an abolitionist. I believe that they should be done away with eventually. But so we're on the same page in that regard, Keith.
Yeah, one of the things I do too is that I do have a lot of the personal conversations with police when I'm out filming too, and I kind of just tell them, you know, like, you know, the way you could do your job better is to just ignore a lot of stuff and to just move on. Just be like, this isn't worth my time or anyone's time, and go do some policing of some real crime. Like, don't harass this guy, he's homeless. Just, if you see some people drinking in the doorway, just drive past them. Just ignore a lot of stuff, because they have the option to ignore stuff. It's not something that they have to police everything they see. They have the option to just ignore a lot of stuff.
Sure, they have what's called discretion, and I agree. I mean, if there's no real victim, if the person's not hurting anybody else, you know, the police should take a back seat and leave people alone, just like anybody else. You know, if I see somebody doing something that somebody else might not agree with, if they're not hurting anybody, it's none of my business. And I wish that law enforcement would, adhere to the non-aggression principle, the whole live and let live. You know, unless somebody's, stealing from or attacking you, or attacking someone you love, or stealing from your family, like, leave them alone.
Yep, they'd actually get a lot more respect from the community if they did that, and they would actually have a lot easier job. And they wouldn't make themselves as big a targets as they do, too, you know? And they'd be, if cops just went around arresting rapists, child molesters, and murderers, and doing real policing of real predators and real criminals, then I don't think that people would have that big of a problem with a lot of the police,
I totally agreed. We're down to our last 2 minutes, Keith. I want you to tell people on the interweb where they can find your media and your stuff, and then do you have any final words for the lovely people listening?
You could find me on Twitter, Multnomah County Cop Watch. You could find me on Facebook. I have a page and also a Facebook group on there, and that's pretty much. And I have a YouTube channel. I haven't really uploaded much for a while, but I'm kind of working on
the Street Fighter PDX YouTube channel.
What's up?
Is it the Street Fighter PDX?
Well, no, I have a Multnomah County Cop Watch YouTube channel, and I do a lot of stuff on Twitter and stuff like that too, as far as just posting articles and other stuff. But yeah, this whole chief outlaw thing, getting stalking orders on cops and stuff, and that's kind of become the new reality is in Portland, Oregon, that basically we're getting stalking orders put on us for filming the police and public officials, and I got a stalking order put on me from attending a city council meeting.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. What's going on with you and Eli? It's just really crazy, and how they're doing that. And I would love to have you on and interview you about how you've been given a stalking charge by a public official in Portland, Oregon, and it's ridiculous. And the charges against Eli, son of Hightower, are also ridiculous. It's basically saying that we no longer have a right, according to U.S. law and whatnot, to petition government for redress of grievance. Not that I give a shit about law, but
Ed Wheeler's a total fascist, and he ran on this platform of police accountability, but then he likes to, let his chief get stalking orders put on cop watchers, and also, members of city council staff get stalking orders put on cop watchers, and Bob and Chris Ponte, they got a stalking order put on them by Mark Kruger,
the Nazi cop Mark Kruger. Okay, so yeah, it's something that's been disheartening me, Keith, is the fact that we have our public officials here in Portland, Oregon, in uniform, armed, claiming that they're afraid of someone asking them a question with a camera, and the courts are just going ahead and signing off on this, and it really is egregious. And I was going to end the show, but I'm going to run it for another 10 more minutes so we can talk about this. It's chilling, and it's literally having a chilling effect on our ability to, just observe law enforcement in public. And Eli being given that stalking order, and you being given a stalking order for just speaking, basically, it's legal in Oregon to challenge someone to go to a boxing gym if you want. And that's basically what you did. Can you tell me what happened with you?
Yeah, what happened with that was I was in City Hall and at the city council meeting, and I came out into the hallway, and Nick Fish, his policy advisor and his senior policy advisor, James Dunphy and Jen Blackwood Jr., came out and confronted me in the hallway and said, "Aren't you a sex offender?" Which I'm not. Anyone can look up my name. David Keith Davis, born June 30th, 1970, and see that the only charges I've ever had are related to protesting and TriMet fare violations and weed. So, I basically exchanged a bunch of words with them, told them to fuck off, and called them a bunch of pieces of shit, and all this other stuff, and then I left City Hall, and then a couple weeks later, I saw both those guys. I saw Jim Blackwood Jr. first, and I said, "Hey, what's up, fuckface?" And then walked past him, and then I saw James Dunphy, and I started talking some crap to him, and I said, you know, there's a whole nother way we could handle this, you know, if you want to, like, slander me and call me a fucking sex offender and all this stuff and make up fucking stories about me and other stuff. I was like, there's a whole nother legal way we can handle this, and it's called a boxing gym. I didn't threaten him like, let's go out back right now and handle this, punk. I didn't pull a Joe Biden, you know, like Joe Biden earlier, I think it was today or a couple days ago, actually said, you know, if Joe Biden and Trump were in school together, he would have taken him out back and beat the fuck out of him or whatever, you know?
Yep.
So I basically, he said, Biden said, you know, if I went to school with Trump, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him, which is something that just came out in an article that someone sent me, which they sent me the article and said, Joe Biden taking a page from your book.
Oh, funny.
But
yeah, but to get back to it, it's totally legal to challenge somebody to go into a boxing gym in Oregon if they consent.
Yeah, and you know, I wasn't even necessarily trying to box him or anything. I just put it out on the table and said, hey, you want to know what? Fuckface, if you want to handle this a whole different, other legal way, there's a thing called the boxing gym, and we can go there if you want, you know?
And with that, he bitches out and gets a stalking order placed against you because he didn't like your reaction to him calling you a pedophile. I mean, what did he expect someone to do? Warm up to them and be best buds when they publicly call you a kid fucker? I mean, that's disturbing.
Yeah, and so basically what he did was he came out and he baited me. He knows I'm not a sex offender. The thing is his boss, Nick Fish, worked for Barney Frank, who ran a brothel out of his house. And Barney Frank also was implicated in the child abduction of Johnny Gosch. He was also hired a bunch of male prostitutes as his congressional aides. And that's where Nick Fish got his jump off in his career. Nick Fish is a little Harvard rich boy, little fuck boy from Harvard, you know? Just like our mayor, Ted Wheeler, another rich boy, Harvard fuck boy.
A neo-fascist, neoliberal fascist, fascist with a smiley face is how they run our city here in Portland.
Neoliberal fascist pigs.
Yep.
But it's just really sick, and you know, Ted Wheeler said he ran on a platform of police accountability, and what does he do? He gets
a transplant from Oakland, California, to be our police chief.
From Oakland, one of the most brutal and oppressive police forces. But, you know, he's like, well, we got a black woman from Oakland. So that's my big contribution, you know, is I'm going to give you a black woman. So it's basically like his little trying to be progressive, but it's all just an optical illusion because he's this career law enforcement person that has been involved in law enforcement since she was in high school. You know, she started out a police cadet.
Right.
And you know, the Oakland police, they had the whole child sex trafficking scandal that they were running out of the Oakland PD. A bunch of cops got busted for pimping out a underage girl out of her department. And we have have like some of the highest levels of child sex trafficking going on right here in Portland, Oregon. So what does Ted Wheeler do? Oh, let's go to one of the most brutalist, oppressive police regimes in the country that happen to be running a child prostitution ring out of it, and let's hire this lady, you know? And then one of the first things she did when she gets into office is get this stalking order put on one of the only black cop watchers in the area, Eli Ritchie, who's son of Hightower on YouTube. But, you know, just like I was saying about the whole weaponized equity, I was criticizing the fact that Chief Outlaw and this other black female judge, Adrienne Nelson, who granted the stalking order on Eli, who's a black cop watcher, you know, I was talking crap about them and how they're a bunch of fascists and violating the Constitution and all this other stuff. And then I had some local social justice warriors come in and call me a racist and a misogynist because I'm talking about a black cop watcher getting totally fucked by two black women. So that makes me a racist misogynist, you know.
Well, that's how that stuff works. That's how it greases the fascistic wheels of tyranny, is that you're not allowed to criticize somebody because of the color of their skin, no matter what they do. And that's what makes it so very, very dangerous. You know, I think people should be judged on the content of their character and their actions. People should be judged on the content of their character and their actions, not, you know, given oppression points because of their gender or their color, and then, oh, well, you can't contradict that person because of they meet these tick boxes in categorization. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And in Portland, you know, there's only a 6% of the population is black, so basically, you know, it's kind of like people don't know around here what it's like to live in most places in America where there actually is a black population, you know? They have so much white guilt, and they're just so brainwashed that they'll actually believe stuff like that. Like, if you criticize anyone of color, you're a racist, or you're only doing it because you're a bigot.
I've seen that so much, Keith. I've seen it at protests where somebody was disagreeing with somebody that happened to be black, and protesters will surround them and yell at them and say, Are you talking over a person of color? Like, because you can't disagree with them.
People will have no problem talking to a black person who's more of the Trump conservative thing and calling them Nazis and yelling at them and talking over them. So it's like identity politics, like, just flies out the window unless they fall in line with their exact political spectrum. It's just like a really bad cartoon show. That's why I kind of just stay. All I do at a lot of these, you know, the right versus left little protests and Joey Gibson events and all this other stuff, I just kind of film it all and look at it as a bad cartoon that needs to be recorded and be, you know, documented for historical and
well, I do have to end the show now, Keith, because it's been over an hour, and thanks for coming on.
All right, we finally made it to the end of that. What do you say, Mike? Still there?
Yeah. I was just distracted by something. Yeah, I guess Keith's kind of a bit of a stoner, and whatever. It takes him a while to get to the meat of the conversation. But when the conversation started actually getting good, it was like you were jumping up and down on your mic, Bunny. Like you were literally like doing this to it every 2 seconds.
Now I don't know what was actually causing that, because I wasn't even touching the mic. The mic sits on a desk. I wasn't. At best, I maybe took a drink, but I'm not sure what was causing that noise. And I didn't see anything on my thing.
When you look at your desk when if you look at your Discord, your mic was engaging every like 2 seconds for like 10 minutes, like, and it was sounding like somebody was running a washing machine. Like,
wow,
look at your chat.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what caused that. Next time, stop it and interrupt me as soon as possible if something like that happens, man.
Yeah, I know people were saying it was like running a laundry machine in your chat if you look at it. Whatever. It's what was it? The ad interfering with it or whatever? Or
there was also, yeah, at around the same time frame. I was fighting with the one of the ads. It kept trying to play sound, and it kept popping the window back down to where the ad's at. I'm like, no, I want to watch this. I don't care about this stupid ad. So I was fighting with that. Finally, I was like, dude, I have to pause this. I gotta refresh the page and get that ad out of there, because I'm not even sure what that was. One fucked up ad.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that punk rock anarchist crap from the late '80s, early '90s isn't Bunny's cup of tea.
Well, how should I put it? It isn't. It would be my cup of tea, but it just, the delivery was so slow.
Well, you know, Keith is a stoner, so you know we have to, like, you know, I've adapted the ability to just kind of let him talk, and personally, I think the conversation was interesting. The people on my side seemed to be okay with it. Nobody was bitching too much. Were people in your chat complaining?
Not really. They were just more or less enjoying their own conversation and me
Right,
reaching a bunch of them.
Yeah, I think next time I have Keith on, I'm going to talk more about the current events and the cop watching and what's going on with Eli, son of Hightower, and how all of our city officials see fit to try to get stalking orders placed on journalists for, you know, daring to ask them questions with cameras in their hands. And I think that's more interesting fare for our target audience. So, you know, my bad. But, yeah. So let's get into the other stuff we wanted to talk about. And James Freeman was recently arrested, you know, not detained. But let's talk about that a bit. I mean,
yeah,
if you want to give
also, if you guys get your questions ready, we'll talk about the SNC Point 9 episode shortly after this. But go ahead. What were you saying, Mike?
Sure, I just wanted to get into it a little bit, and like I said, I've not been a long-time fan of James Freeman. In fact, I really get wrapped up in my own activism, and I don't have a whole lot of time to watch other people's media because I produce so much crap myself. But there's a few auditors and people I do stumble across, and I saw his stuff a few weeks back, you know, when the Morro Bay stuff happened. And I saw it in the side scroll, and the guy does good work, you know, but, you know, in hindsight's always 2020, and I don't really want to talk shit about other people's activism, but he was under the impression that he was detained. And my understanding of the law is that once they put handcuffs on you and take you away to some other place and move you from that spot, you're no longer under investigative detention. You are arrested, and that's on federal property. Like, as far as I'm concerned, James Freeman just won the fucking lottery. You know, he's got federal employees picking him up, claiming that he's detained, and arresting him. They took him to a police station on base and booked him, ran his paperwork, wrote him citations. Yeah, and also, it's my understanding that the police or the base, a military base, has to draw on the ground a line on the road, and that's because of you know,
United States v. Hannibal, SCOTUS case.
Yeah,
I mean, not sorry, not Hannibal. United States v. Appel.
Yeah, that case law.
2015.
Yeah, that case law clearly states that they have to have a line drawn, and if he's on the correct side of that line, which is my impression that he was, they're screwed. But yeah, and I don't want to, like, you know, be Mr. Know-It-All or say I know more than Mr. Freeman, because I don't. But, like, you know, it's just we all have different life experiences. But yeah, he's setting pretty. As long as he doesn't plea bargain, as long as he sticks to his guns, you know, it's really difficult. See, a lot of people get upset or annoyed at people for plea bargaining, and sometimes it's the right choice because of situation. Like, this happened in Arizona, and where does Freeman live?
I'm not exactly sure. He's all over the southwest part of the United States. So
okay, Well, to do his court dates, he's going to have to travel, and that's one way that they'll screw you is that they'll draw it out for as long as they want. But like I'm saying, he's positioned in a really great place. There's obvious rights violations. You know, he was kidnapped. So that's all I wanted to say about my impressions of his arrest. And good on you, brother. I've seen some of your stuff. I actually re-edited one of your videos of the post office, and I'm the guy that provided the comic relief of the elephant seal bashing its way into the car kind of stuff. But yeah, hi to James Freeman or whatever, and good on you, brother. And like I said, stick to your guns, get through the criminal phase, and you just got like 4 Christmases. It's going to happen 5 years from now, but you know, I wish they would hand me a lawsuit like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and also, what was it? Max Fordham was asking. I think his question was why? Why did we shut down the chat? Why did we go ahead and do what we did with the 0.9? I'm guessing that's what he was referring to.
Sure. Well, I can say from my side of my perspective of things is that when we have guests on, you know. And I know a lot of people. I'm going to be bringing a lot of people on that are a little, you know, more higher profile, very controversial characters like Pete Santilli, for instance, or Gavin Syme. And I'm concerned that chat rooms spilling over into, you know, arguments and airing the dirty laundry of this movement and people's fighting. I don't prioritize that as important. So it was my idea, you know, so if people want to, you know, get butthurt or get pissed off about it, you know, you can blame Mike Bluehair for it. From now on, when we have people on that I think are a little more controversial, Bunny and I are just going to pre-record it and then run the pre-record over the show. But I'm very anti-censorship. I mean, there's people on my YouTube channel that talk about violent shit, and I'll send them a message every once in a while when I catch it and say, you know, that's not cool. You're gonna, you know, that violence is political violence, especially, is stupid. But I saw Felipe getting real animated and pissed off, and apparently there was an argument and some fighting that spilled over from one chat room into the other, and I just didn't feel like having my show taken over by people trolling. So there you go. That's why I wanted to shut it down, you know, just to calm Felipe down, because it was really about him. I mean, if there's other people that wanted to argue with Felipe, want to be guests on the show, you know, talk to me and Bunny and we'll have you on. You know, it's that simple. And but yeah, it just really annoyed me, basically.
Yeah. And okay, actually no, he's referring to the time limit. Why I said 2 hours. The main reason why we pretty much restrict it to about a 2-hour show is because we got other things to do in our lives. I'm sure you guys got other things to do. We can't constantly be sitting in front of the computer doing live streams and stuff like that. There's things I've got to work on. Mike's got to work on. In fact, Mike is more of a person that is out there and trying to, he's more of the street person. He likes to get out there, get the film, throw it up on YouTube, get back out there and film it again. For me, I'm all over the place kind of stuff, and I got all kinds of things going on and all that stuff. Let's see, and Shadowboxer, is SNC for guests or for the audience? How should we answer that one?
I would say it's for both, but I'm going to prioritize the guest. I mean,
battery low.
I will, you know, try to interact with the chat room as best I can, but and yeah, I mean, I'm not going to let people in a chat room take over a vlog or a broadcast. That doesn't make any sense. You know, it's only a 2-hour show.
Yeah, and then let's see here. Mike is boots on the ground, front lines. Okay, never mind. I thought that was a question for a second. I had to read it. It was from your chat. Let's see here. Wait, you have a live say? It ain't so. Yeah, unfortunately, we have to have lives in order to do this stuff. Let's see. What is the next generation of audits? Investigation reports? That was by Beware a Mouse. I'll go ahead and answer that one. The next generation of audits is probably going to be more in a direction of live streaming. And we're probably going to see in about 5 years, I suspect, we're going to see more people going for the public records requests and those kinds of reports, I suspect that's going to start taking up interest, because there's a lot of power with public records requests, and it's very underdone. There's like maybe 2 or 3 people that handle that that aspect, and I would definitely love to see that expand to some extent. Let's see. Okay, well, how does the time limit work when you still keep live stream going? Work when you still keep live stream going? Oh, well, we haven't been live streaming for more than 2 hours, and generally that's our guideline. 2 hours is our limit. Sometimes we'll only do it for an hour if there's a lot of other things going on and there's just not sort of much content, or let's say I'm sort of down and out. I'm the only one doing it. My back's hurting too much. I may end it early just because I need to take a rest or something like that. So I can only sit in a chair for so long before it really starts hurting me. And also, Mike's usually got a ton of stuff to do.
Yeah, Mike's more of a cop watcher. I go out on patrols on the weekends and, you know, do 8-hour, 9-hour patrols right after the show. Like, Bob's always sitting in a easy chair beside me, staring at me like, can you stop flapping your gums? We need to get back out into the streets. I'm more of an activist journalist hybrid, and I don't, you know, do one audit every or 2 audits a month or whatever. I'm more interested in making my presence known to law enforcement as well. When they see cop watchers out there scrutinizing them, it affects their behavior. And so, yeah, it takes a lot. It's labor intensive what I do, and then I'm throwing 4 hours of podcasting a week on top of that. So, yeah.
Beware Mouse. How about equipment inspection with FOIA? Actually, there isn't a way. Someone's been doing that. Honor your oath before the whole thing blew up with the school district over there with the public records request, which is an ongoing legal battle still to this day. If you go back and listen to the strategic noncompliance episode where we interviewed him, that was quite the interesting aspect. But he was doing that at one point. He had to stop because of course, the ongoing legal lawsuits that he's got going on. But he does plan on continuing it, from what I understand. Let's see. Cop in parking lot, tires checked, dent side, windshield wipers frayed. Beware Mouse wants to really want people to go and do a vehicle inspection on the police vehicles, it looks like. And actually, that might be necessary. There was a town on the, I think it's on the west side of St. Louis, where the cop cars were so in poor disrepair that some of them didn't even have all the freaking nuts on the tires.
You know, I want to tell people out there in activist land that filming law enforcement vehicles can end up being a lot of fun. Like Bob and I, a couple of years back, we were walking around the courthouse, and I was filming a sheriff's vehicle. And this sheriff's deputy actually came out and tried to detain us and get our IDs. And, well, it just didn't work out too well for him. The video is called Cop is Mistaken Bacon. Personally, I think it's some of my best trolling of law enforcement out there. But hey, you know, so there's always that opportunity. I mean, a parked police car is kind of like bait. You go and film it, and if an officer walks over and tries to give you some BS, it's a great opportunity to flex your rights.
Yeah, Gabriel, who is your guest and what's his channel, Mike? Does he have a channel?
Sure, it's Keith Davis. K-I-F Davis of Multnomah County Cop Watch. And if you type Multnomah County Cop Watch into YouTube, you can see some of his work. So, yeah, he's a good friend of mine. He's a guy that's interested in damn near every aspect of subversity and, you know, the liberty movement, whatever you want to call it, the anarchist free thinkers. I mean, Guy's one of the smartest people I know. Like I said at the beginning of the interview, I call his living room the library. So,
yeah, and then let me move this over here a little bit. Whoops, dang, I pulled down the wrong control. Having to constantly move my overlay thing of stuff because I gotta,
you know,
look at a chat. What?
Bunny, I also wanted to talk a little bit about this March for Our Lives and how people on the liberal side of politics are in this frothing at the mouth hysteria about disarming folks. And it's really, well, quite frankly, pissing me the fuck off. Okay, here's the thing, and I'll just say it now so everybody can hear it. Screw the Parkland students. Screw them. I don't care. And I'll tell you why. And I don't mean the ones that were killed. I have, respect for the dead. I'm talking about these kids that were there. Okay, just being present when a horrible event happens doesn't somehow wave a magical wand, and then make you an expert in the field. Okay, these teenagers. Okay, here's some neuroscience for you, folks. The part of your brain that deals with impulse control isn't even fully developed until you're in your early 20s. Meaning they're easily excitable and easily to manipulate. This is neuroscience, okay? So we have these left-wing political hacks, shoving scripts in the hands of these kids, and manipulating them into disarming us. I mean, sure, it was a horrible thing, but like I plan on going to the March for Our Lives with a sign that says "Let's ban hammers" or ladders, and heckling those people. I mean, it really, really pisses me off that they're using these children, because there are kids in their minds, to further a political agenda. And then you have that disgusting sheriff, Scott Israel screaming about how they want to manipulate the Baker Act and put people in mental institutions against their will because of them shit posting on social media. It's ridiculous. Like, and it pisses me off so much to watch people fall for it. I'm looking in my social networks and people are like, oh, those kids are so brave. Why are they so brave? Because, some corporate news outlet stuck a script in their hand and shoved them in front of a podium for their own agenda. Like, man, it's just pissed me off so much.
Not to mention that over here in Oregon, they're looking at there's a group trying to push on the voter ballot a new weapons restriction and ban when it comes to long rifles that are in the style of an AK-47 or an M16 and have detachable magazines that are over a certain size. Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
10 round capacity.
Yeah. And anyway, Shadowboxer, what is your answer to BBI when asked to defend the silent treatment? I will be doing a live stream or a video thing on that specifically tomorrow. I was not going to do that. That's going to be a non-strategic non-compliance response when I respond to that specific issue, Shadowboxer. And then I thought I saw something on your thing, on your chat there. Gabriel said bunny with a question, so I'm not sure if that was just trying to get my attention or whatnot. Come on. Just trying to mess with a bunch of windows here. Isn't the Baker Act a California law that was by OCSOB 007?
No, I believe the Baker Act was a federal thing.
No, I thought it was a state, and I thought Baker might have been Florida, and it's just sort of caught on.
You know what?
Like that.
Yeah. It was Florida. You're right. But this Scott Israel prick has been on the corporate media, and he wants to make it into a federal thing. Like, there's actually a bill or some shit to where they want to be able to have the power to arrest people because of social media posts. Man, if that goes through, if that law goes through, I'm going to prison. I mean, there's pictures that I've uploaded to Facebook, and it's like, a bunch of corporate guys bleeding, laying on the floor, and it's like, my thoughts on Wall Street. Would I actually shoot up an office building? Oh, hell no. I think political violence is stupid, but it's called free speech. I mean, what the fuck? It's ridiculous.
And
let's ban sandwiches.
Yeah, and there's chances are that some of these things, depending on how they're written, wouldn't even get past. I mean, they wouldn't survive a judicial review through the court system. There might be people that go, yeah, you may have passed this law, but it doesn't hold up to the Constitution, which is pretty much our standard right there. And the freedom of speech aspect is very, very strong. And what happens if a law gets killed off entirely just because it's found unconstitutional? Well, that causes all kinds of problems. And all of a sudden, whatever good maybe there, sliver of good that came out of that could easily be unraveled because you worded it wrong. Or you push it in bounds where it shouldn't have gone in the first place. Let's see. Section 5150 is a section of California Welfare Institution Code called Letterman Petrus Short Act for LPS. Okay, thank you. So it's the LPS that's called over in California, I guess. Beware Mouse. Beetlejuice, Felipe. That is a good one. Good evening, NJ Diver. Yeah, we're sort of in the last few minutes of the show. We're in actually the last 10 minutes. Shall we go ahead and do our plugins and give our final goodbyes for the night?
Sure, man. Yeah, you first this time, Bunny.
All right. As is, strategic noncompliance happens twice a week, bi-weekly, so this way both East and West Coast have a chance to listen to us. Wednesday is at 3 p.m. Pacific time frame, so this way your East Coast people can have a time to enjoy us. And Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time frame, so everybody on the West Coast has a time to enjoy us. Though it sort of sucks that it's on a drinking night and all that, but it's just the way our schedules work out at this point. Maybe there'll be improvements on the times, maybe we'll change this, but as is, those are the times you need to tune in. As for me, Bunny Boots Inc., I do live streams and First Amendment Fridays and stuff like that. I try to do at least twice a month what I've referred to as Saturday bar hopping and all that fun stuff, or First Amendment Fridays. That usually pops out every Friday if I have content for that. You can catch me live streaming on You can catch me live streaming YouTube, Twitch, Stream Me, Periscope, and Mixer. That is 5 different platforms, and I'm looking to expand all that stuff. And that's pretty good for me. What about you, Mike?
And a partridge in a pear tree. No, actually, I'm not really spread out that far into the interweb, and I think Bunny's quite brilliant for doing all that stuff. But I just, but that would take away from all my activism. So basically, you can find me on Steemit. That's where I do some blogging, but it's basically a glorified place to share my YouTube videos. So Steemit.com, Mike Bluehair 42. You can always check me out on Mike Bluehair on YouTube. I'm more of a cop watcher if you're listening on Bunny's end of the spectrum. So I actually go out on patrols and film police encounters and upload that. I also film a lot of protest type stuff. I've never met a large event of civil unrest I didn't like. I went out and covered Ferguson years back. I covered the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe's resistance against the usurpation of their land rights. During that whole thing, I've been all over the frickin' place. Dozens of high profile protests, May Day protests, NATO summit type stuff. So my stuff is more gritty and confrontational in your face. Bunny Boots is more of a, you know, polite sort of silent treatment type person, but I like to get right up in the police's bitter-pitched, mean, evil little faces and tell them exactly what I think of them. And usually that entails me tearing them up one side and down the other in a way that would scare fleas off a dog and peel paint. And it's, you know, my little humble contribution to resisting this tyranny is just fucking tearing into law enforcement like they deserve it. But I think that's enough babbling about me, but do smash that like, upvote, and share button. I'm basically in process of being starved economically off of YouTube because the controversial nature of my material is just, well, it's just not advertising friendly, you know. We live in a society that worships authority, and since cops have that shiny, stupid, fucking magic uniform, you know, there we go. So thanks for watching, people, and we'll see you next week with Strategic Noncompliance. And
thank you for the follows, Team Spock. And we'll go ahead and see you on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Or 3 p.m. or 1500, depending on which clock you want to go by.
Oh, yeah, and mash that super chat button because you know you want to give Mikey $1. Give me $1, make me holla. All right.
All right, have a nice evening, guys.